buddy.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
A podcast exploring religion, politics, and current events from two atheists just trying to survive life in these United States.
It's not going well. I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, we're going to be talking about the new Mormon garments and...
it is a new dawn, a new day for the Mormons. It's
the ladies, they can start showing more of their shoulder. Not all of it. Not all
sun's
of it.
out, tops, edge of shoulders are out. Everybody, it's woo! Look out! You're going to be seeing some randy Mormons.
Oh, they're not going to be able to contain it. And it's not just the ladies that are going to get to show their upper arms. The dudes are going to get to show their progress at the gym off. And
all right, calm it down. Calm it down.
We'll
save it.
Amazing.
Save some randiness for the end of the show.
Utah is going to be forever changed.
Not really, but we'll talk about it.
All right. First, we have some news of the week, things that have happened, stuff we need to talk about, Dan, such as the Catholic Tribune, Dan. Catholic Tribune. It's been...
I don't know. Where is that?
Well, it's all might over. Be in a mailbox near you.
Oh, thank God.
It's being mailed out. And there's a few different versions of it. There's the Wisconsin Catholic Tribune. There's the Nevada, Wisconsin, or the Nevada Catholic Tribune, the Michigan Catholic Tribune. There's a whole bunch of them. And the Catholic Church is coming out to say, this isn't us.
Yeah.
We are not sending this out at all. This is actually what people in the know call pink slime.
What?
Pink slime. This is a pink slime operation, Dan.
Oh, no.
Are you not familiar with this?
No.
So they're obviously referencing the filler in processed meat. You're familiar with it? You remember like a number of years ago, there was a big deal about pink slime and basically being what you were eating at McDonald's. Essentially, the idea is that it's a product that's not entirely what it seems, right? And so anyway, ProPublica, has been, I just can't look at it and not say it that way. But that's how I say it in my head is ProPublica. I know it's ProPublica anyway. They've been looking into where are these things coming from? Because these are nasty little partisan mailers, right? But they're designed to look very like they have sort of the very tribune-y sort of that font, right? That newspapery font, all with all the little extra lines on the letters.
You're talking about old calligraphy.
Oh yes, the kind of I think it's like called a black type is like maybe the official. That. Anyway, it's a very newspapery sort of masthead font.
Yes.
And there's just a number of things that they've done a lot to make them appear very legitimate, right? But then, and there might be a need for some trigger warning here for what some of these headlines say. One of the headlines is how many sex change mutilation surgeries occurred on Wisconsin kids.
Yikes.
Right. Another one, Haitian illegal aliens in America. What are Harris supporters saying? I wonder.
I'll bet they get it right. I'll bet that they are 100% accurate about what Harris supporters are saying.
Well, apparently the Harris supporters are sharing recipes for cat stew. No, that's not actually in there. That's not in there. But I wish that was. That'd be amazing.
Would be amazing. Oh my God. You had me so excited that they were claiming that we were like helping the the Haitians eat our pets.
It's like, oh, well, yeah, what else would the liberals be doing?
Right?
Outrageous things. A lot of things, obviously, against Kamala Harris, other things that are very pro Donald Trump, so forth and so on. And the Catholic Church is like coming out and making sure that it's clear that they have nothing at all to do with this. The Archdiocese of Detroit has gone so far to note that tax-exempt churches are not permitted under the IRS code to be involved in partisan politics.
Yeah.
When it's convenient for you,
right,
you will point that little law out. When it's
they'll be like, we would never. Never. We would never. It is against the law, you guys. We're law-abiding, good citizens.
A lot of people who have received these have seen right through the bullshit and say that they just threw it right in the trash. But some were confused about why was the local diocese sending out such partisan crap, right? Like legitimately, some people were like didn't know quite what to think, right? And turns out, thanks to ProPublica, that this is coming from an organization called Metric Media. It's a publishing network, essentially.
You sure it's not called Gaslight Media? Because it feels like it should be called Gaslight Media.
They send out all sorts of crazy stuff, but this is what they're up to at the moment. Yeah. There's this former TV reporter, Brian Timpone, who is running the whole thing. Metric Media is known for its sending out tons of misinformation. They have tons of websites that purport to be local news organizations. They're just totally like right-wing propaganda machines. Yeah. The network has received a ton of money from right-wing super PACs,
of course,
funded by conservative billionaire Richard Uihlein. If you've ever heard of Uihlein before, you probably order supplies at work.
And God help you if you order something from them at your house, because you will be receiving for the rest of eternity a 3,000-pound catalog regularly
with some amazing shit in it. Like if you've ever thumbed through a Uihlein catalog,
it's kind of my favorite thing. I hate that I love it so much because he's such a shitbag.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, that's where you can order like some sort of like traffic wayfinding, like cone system, right? Or
like
any version of a no
gallons
parking
of
sign.
styrofoam peanuts.
Yeah, yeah. And then also just like office supplies and like you name it. It's something that your business might need. You can find it at Uihlein. Well, Richard Uihlein. The last name is actually spelled in a more traditional sort of Germanish looking way.
Oh, okay.
They changed the spelling for the name of the company, which was smart because you wouldn't know how to say his name. You wouldn't know it's Uihlein. Anyway, it's probably good to know that the owner of Uihlein is a shitbag. And if you have any ability to steer where your company is ordering supplies from.
Yeah, although I gotta say, like, if you need to order from them, order from them. You know, it's not the company itself is not doing the sponsorship of this stuff.
No, it's just the guy who's become a billionaire off of the company. You know,
it's still like,
Anyway, he's behind this. It's a giant smear campaign, a pink slime campaign.
Yes.
And
by the way, if you need 200 gallons of pink slime, Uihlein.com. Go to Uihlein for all of your slime needs.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to take us to New York City, land of enchantment. I think that's the official.
I don't think that's it.
Thing.
Empire State?
Yes. Well, that's the state.
That's the state. Yeah, sorry.
The city's an apple for no
Big
good
Apple.
reason.
Yeah. That's
Anyway,
right.
I don't know if you know this, but they do theater in the Big Apple. Famously, they do a lot of theater in New York.
I've never heard of that. Really?
It's true.
Right.
And one recent production that's been making some headlines is a play based on a memoir. And this is the memoir of Abby Stein, who is interestingly, an ex-Hasidic transgender rabbi. So, so she was a Hasidic Jew, and then realized that she was trans, and so she transitioned, and now, and I think she's still a rabbi, and she's still Jewish, but not Hasidic, obviously. But her story is very interesting. She wrote a book about it, and then this theater company in New York decided to do a play based on her life.
Oh wow!
Well, the play, the venue that they had chosen to do the play has now kicked them out.
What?
The landlord of this theater, and the theater itself is the Connolly Theater in New York. The landlord is apparently the Archdiocese of New York.
What?
They apparently own the building, and they have recently. Now, you got to understand that this theater has had other very controversial plays in the past.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the church has chosen now to enact a clause in their contract that says that they get, sort of final say over what happens in their theater.
Oh, wow.
And they gave the damn show the boot.
Weird.
So they're currently looking for another place to put on the play, and that's fine. I don't think that they'll stop the play from happening, but that is
that can't
if
be
you know anything
good.
If you know the theater world, you know that nobody has a lot of money unless it's a Broadway show or whatever. Right. So it's not like this is just an easy thing. This is a huge, huge thing.
Well, it's got to be a really bad look in the like for future productions to even want to rent that theater.
Well, I think that the theater is actually as of right now, they've shut down the venue.
Oh wow.
They're going to figure it out. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully they just sell it off because we don't need more things that the Catholic Church owns. We need fewer of those, and we need more sort of independent theater spaces.
Right. Yeah.
So I can't see that being a bad thing at all, unless somebody tears it down and decides to put up, apartments or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we do need more housing, so
we do need more housing. It's true.
Anyway, I don't know. Have you heard there's a housing shortage, Dan?
I have heard that.
Do not disparage new housing projects.
At the expense of our culture, Frank. At the expense of our culture. Theater is culture.
Indeed.
Anyway,
they don't they don't have enough of it already in New York. Come on.
Yeah.
They need more theater. Jesus Christ.
Well, they do need more non-Broadway theater.
Yeah.
Off-Broadway is pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say that anyone who wants to can read Becoming Eve, which is Stein's 2019 memoir. It looks very interesting. I haven't checked it out yet myself, but Stein did comment on this whole thing and said, I can't say I'm surprised. I'm not going to come up and pretend, oh my God, the Catholic Church doesn't like trans people. I'm shocked. I wouldn't say that. I think we all know that. It's just extremely frustrating that even in a place like New York, it's still something you need to think about.
Yeah.
And it's such there's nothing anti-Catholic about acknowledging the existence of a trans person.
Nope.
You know what I mean? There's nothing.
Do we know the full content of this play?
No, I'm afraid not.
The scene where the Pope performs an abortion
and then has bottom surgery just for fun.
Yeah, that scene.
That was. I will admit that was a very controversial scene.
But I mean, come on, Catholic Church.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Have a sense of humor.
And also, like, it's about a Jew.
Yeah,
you can let him do a thing about a Jew.
Yeah.
It's not even about like a Catholic priest who comes out as trans. It's not even that. It's not even your group.
Yeah.
Calm down, Catholic Church, but oh well, there you go.
All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
Here I hate this story. It has to do with polio, which recently, there were those multi-day like ceasefires or something like that. Or not multi-day, there were multiple days where there were like ceasefires in Gaza, right? Because like there had been a little polio outbreak. And so they had like these very targeted, like, we're going to go in and we're going to vaccinate in just crazy mass numbers. It was apparently wildly successful. It actually worked. They got a gabillion people vaccinated against polio. And that sort of raised my consciousness about polio, which I thought had been eradicated. Like, if you'd asked me,
it had
been eradicated, and it hadn't ever been eradicated. We were close to it. And so this story is actually not about that. This is from Pakistan, where health authorities have confirmed 6 cases recently, bringing the total of infected children this year up to 39. Polio is considered endemic in Pakistan and Afghanistan.
God damn it.
And this is actually right on the heels of Pakistan thinking that they were on the verge of eradicating it in their country. They have been working really hard. But there's this little thing called vaccine hesitancy.
Yeah.
Which I don't get why this is circulating so much amongst conservative religious types, but it is.
Yeah. It's so weird. Why hitch your wagon to that train?
Oh my God.
That is just such a, like, I understand that you want something. I mean, here's what happens. The religious leader needs something in the world.
Yeah.
Out there world to be bad.
Yep.
So that we can be against it and be good. I get that. That's kind of the shtick. They've been running that play for thousands of years.
Yeah.
But don't pick the one that's going to put your parishioners in harm's way.
Yeah. Viruses have this funny way of not giving a rat's ass, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're going to come in, right? Like, pick the color of somebody's headscarf as the reason to dislike them, right? Like, they wear over there in, whatever province, they wear blue headscarves, and we, the good people over here in Punjab, we wear green. Right.
Tattoo stars on your bellies like sneeches if you got it.
Exactly.
But don't fucking like put your people's health and others because like dumb thinking is like a virus and it catches.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that the local iron lung manufacturer has been behind all of this. Another joke, guys. That's not real. Afghanistan also, for obvious reasons, has their own polio problem going on. We're talking about. I'm not sure exactly where else in the world there continues to be where polio continues to be endemic, meaning that it's always present in the population. But these are some of the last places in the world. Like the WHO has been working to this is something we can and should be able to eradicate, like we did with smallpox, right? Mm-hmm. Like we can push this out of the human population. Like this is something we can do. We don't get we still do get the polio vaccine in this country.
Yeah.
But, if we were ever able to, I mean, I don't know, actually, I guess it's possible that I don't know enough about this. I don't know if I'm admitting I don't know enough. But this is something that with vaccination we can prevent. And it's just disgusting that after all of this time and all of this effort, and even in a country like Pakistan that has been really trying, they're sort of at the national level, their health ministry or whatever, this is a priority for them, but they have these communities that are just resistant. And it's really sad.
Yeah.
Because children are the ones that suffer on this one.
And they suffer for the rest of their lives.
Oh, yeah.
If they survive it,
yeah,
then they are very frequently disabled forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Pakistan, forgive me, doesn't strike me as a great place to be disabled.
To live the rest of your life in an iron lung. No, it's a little too humid.
Or be in a wheelchair trying to get around on.
Yeah, I imagine Pakistan's hot and humid. Is that what you imagine?
I don't know. It feels deserty to me.
You think it's dry? You think it's a dry heat? Nonetheless, you're in an iron lung in a country that doesn't. You might not have air conditioning, right?
Yeah.
So
who knows? Anyway, we've never been to Pakistan. We don't know anything.
And not everybody ends up in an iron lung. You're right to point out that you might just be in a wheelchair. But
yeah. Anyway, okay. Before we get ourselves into any more trouble talking about things that we have no idea what we're talking about, let's move on. I'm going to take us to Arkansas, where there is a church called Emmanuel Baptist Church. This is a sort of big old mega church, and they recently had some kerfuffle. Oh. That is a euphemism, friends. They one of their pastors was one of those horrible ones that fondled children, that molested children.
Yeah.
This is Patrick Stephen Miller, who, between 2014 and 2016 was accused of sexual abuse by 3 separate women and also children. And it was just, anyway, this happens. We know this happens. That actually, literally that in and of itself doesn't get it onto our show. Because it's so common that it's absurd. What will get it into our show is that the head pastor, Stephen Smith, was so mad because everybody kept reporting this stuff and getting mad and talking to the media about it.
Oh,
and making them look bad.
Oh no, that's not right.
That is mean. It's just mean. So he tried to clamp down on that. First of all, he did not admit to his congregation that what Miller had done was criminal and bad. He said it was bad, and then and apparently he said it was, quote, non-criminal in nature, which is very much a lie. Huh. Anyway, they didn't handle it great, the whole thing. And then he wanted all of his deacons who were mad about how they didn't handle it great and wanted it to be handled better. And were about to do a vote of no confidence in the leadership of Mr. Smith.
Really?
He instead of saying, "Oh, I see that I have been remiss here," he, of course, doubled down and asked them all to sign a form, calling it a recommitment form, which was basically that they would, they would stand behind the church no matter what, and they would, they saw it as a loyalty oath to him, and 8 of the deacons quit rather than sign that oath. Eventually, Smith announced his resignation, and that seems like those all seem like good things that happened. And then they got together and drafted some new bylaws for the church. Now, this applies not only to the deacons and the leaders of the church, but also to the members of the church. And one of those bylaws, as Hemant Mehta pointed out over on the Friendly Atheist blog, or Substack, sorry, was that I just want people to know that they can go and give him money out for his Substack, because I think they should. One of the bylaws that they drafted was that everyone, if there is suspected child abuse, anyone, whether they're a staffer or a member of the congregation, must report it to the Arkansas Child Abuse Hotline, which is run by the state, and so it's not an internal investigation. They can't hide from it. I think that's huge. I think that's great. I'm a big fan of that. But then they put in another bylaw, which is section 11.4.2, which says, quote, church members are expected, this is members, by the way, are expected to avoid making statements to the general public, media, or via the internet with intent to breach church business confidentialities, injure the reputation of the church, or disregard Jesus's imperative to love one another as he loves us, so that others will know we are his disciples. Which, that, to equate, like, telling on a church for molesting children with not being loving in Jesus, in the fashion of Jesus, that is some rough stuff, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah. So they've lost a lot of members. I hope they continue to.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of people will gladly sign on to that, but
I thought these deacons had it handled.
Right?
Like, you started this whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, go deacons.
Yeah, it seemed great.
Yeah. And then the other shoe dropped.
And then they deaconed out.
Yeah. All right. Well, this story sort of caught me off guard, Dan.
Oh, no.
This is
you? You're never off guard.
Me?
You've never been caught off guard in your life.
I'm so nimble and anticipatory. I'm anticipating things all the time.
You are.
With cat-like reflexes. No, this is coming to us from NBC News. And it was a perspective that, as somebody who pays so much close attention to the intersection of religion and politics in this country, the fact that NBC News would run this headline, Harris goes to church, highlighting the absence of religion in the 2024 campaign. That led, I had to take a minute and think about that and read the story and go, oh, somebody has a different perspective on the world than I do. Which I know it can be shocking when we discover this about the world, that our view is not always the only view, the default view. No, the article goes into detail about how both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump really, they actually don't campaign about on their personal faith. Donald Trump talks a lot about like why evangelicals and Catholics and you should be voting for me, right?
And if I lose, it's the Jews' fault.
Yeah,
because you should have voted for me.
Like there is talk of religion, but not their own personal faith. And Kamala, and the article kind of talks about Kamala Harris and how coming up in the politics of San Francisco, Northern California in general, has maybe sort of trained her to just keep her own personal faith more private when campaigning, right?
Doesn't that sound like a world we want to live in?
Yeah, because like if you think about how Joe Biden campaigned, he's a devoted Catholic, right? I remember religion and just faith in God and whatnot coming up quite a bit in that campaign, right? To the point that I remember us talking about it on the show of like, well, he's a man of faith, but right,
but we're gonna vote.
We're
for
still
him
going to vote for
anyway.
him because obviously he's not Donald Trump. But he's been seen probably every year with ashes on his forehead on Ash Wednesday. Like, he does not shy away from showing the world his personal faith, right?
Right.
Which I do accept and believe is sincere, right?
I do too.
I don't think he's not just parading something that
he's like the one.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
all of the
now I don't know what Barack Obama's level of personal faith is, but he is very comfortable in religious settings. Yes. He apparently, according to the article, he invoked God 5 times during his first inaugural address. And there's the famous moment of him singing Amazing Grace at the Mother Emanuel AME Church after, you'll recall, a white supremacist killed 9 people there in Charleston at that church.
Yeah, how amazing is that grace, Barack? Somebody just got killed. How amazing is the grace? I'm curious. Sorry.
Of course.
Sorry, that was
I hear it. I believe you. But it was a different world. Atheists back then, not atheists, but nuns, atheist agnostics, nothing in particulars, made up just about 16% of the country back then. Whereas now, recently, numbers came out showing that we're about 28%.
Yeah, buddy.
Of the country, which is a larger group than evangelicals and Catholics, right?
Yeah.
And so it actually kind of makes sense that in a secularizing country that maybe our politicians don't feel the need to perform something that maybe wasn't sincere in the first place, or that maybe isn't comfortable for them to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And then there's this other thing that I think is kind of interesting, which is that the way that politics and religion are intersecting right now is that religion feels political, right?
Very much.
It feels like politics and religion are almost like they are so intertwined that it's hard to tell. It's hard to unintertwine them, right?
No, yeah, you can't. They are.
Yeah. And so
if someone says I'm a true believing Christian,
yeah,
that's a political statement here in the United States.
Yeah.
As much as it is anything.
Yeah. And so that also could be informing both candidates actually on how they are talking about religion and their own personal religion and not feeling the need that they to parade it or to parade something that might be fake. In Donald Trump's case, I'm sorry, him if he was like trying to like lean into some sort of like identity of him as like a man of faith, it just wouldn't work.
No.
Right?
No. Every time he's asked anything about religion, he's like, yeah, what's that? What's your favorite scripture? Is a gimme. You know what I mean? That's such an easy one. He's like, all of them. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't even know 2 Timothy or something like that. Wasn't he?
Oh yeah.
The one
2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians. Yeah. But anyway.
And also he has proven time and again that his people know, like his followers know that he doesn't know shit about religion and they're fine with it.
Yeah. I just thought it was really interesting because somebody at NBC News noticed that when Kamala Harris went and spoke at a Baptist church outside of Atlanta this last week, that was like the first time they were really writing about that.
Yeah.
And I guess Tim Walz went to some church up in Saginaw, Michigan. And they were just like, Yeah, that hasn't really been happening a lot. And I think that is an interesting development. It might just be the candidates that we have right now, but it could also be the country that this country is turning into, right? And I hope it's that one, you know.
There you go.
So
I mean, look, we are to the point where our numbers are such that we should be flexing those muscles. Like, we have not figured out how to do it yet because we're new to the game.
Well,
as a group that actually like has some influence now, but we need to figure out how to do it because we're getting big. All right. Well, I'm going to take us to another place in the world where there is it signs of hope. It feels like signs of hope. So I'm leaving us on hopefully a hopeful note. In Australia, and this is not going to sound hopeful at first, there's a school called the Australian Catholic University. And that's what you think it is. It's a Catholic private university. And they had a graduation recently, and they invited a labor leader, a union leader, Joe De Bruyne, I don't know how to say his name, to come and speak. And look, this is a Catholic school. This guy is a Catholic. He came and gave a speech, and he said a bunch of stuff about, like, you know, abortion has killed more humans than World War II, and IVF is bad, and gay people shouldn't be allowed to get married. Now, all of these are, in my view, as far as I know, completely in line with the Catholic Church's position on all of these things. The Pope himself endorses every single one of these positions.
Yeah.
The crowd fucking left.
What?
The entire, like, almost, this is a big auditorium. It probably holds over like 1,000 people or more. They were gone. It was a mass exodus. There was like 22 old people left in the audience. People sitting up on the stage, like faculty up on the stage, walked the fuck out.
Holy crap.
Everybody left this thing.
Wow.
I don't know.
I think this might be just Catholic in name only.
I mean,
this school.
Lots of people go to Catholic schools because it happens to be the one that like fits with what they're doing. You know, they have a good program or it fits their schedule or whatever. Lots of non-Catholics go to Catholic schools. But even then, it was like the video of it is amazing. Just people walking out of their own graduation.
That's a shame.
And by the way, Americans, take heed. It is powerful when people just stand up and leave. You don't need to shout. You don't need to do like all these people. He just plowed through his talk. He was kind of amazing. He didn't slow down. He didn't acknowledge the fact that no one was listening to him anymore. He just kept going. But like everybody left. It was huge.
Now, you just chastised Americans, and I have to say, Dan, I appreciate that Americans would have been yelling, flipping him off, potentially booing for sure, throwing things.
We're allowed people.
I'm coming to like who we are as a people, Dan. Like on the world stage, we're fucking nuts. We don't deserve the power internationally that we have as a nation, right? But the fact that we are just unruly and just
we're goofballs.
Like, I don't know. I kind of like it.
Okay.
Because I am the first to like flip people off on the freeway and honk my horn and yell and scream. Like, I love it.
Okay. Well, there's multiple perspectives to be taken into account here. But the long and the short of it is, go Aussies. I'm so proud of you guys. That is awesome. At a Catholic university, a man spouts the Catholic line. I don't know how that's anything but like the correct Catholic line. And everybody's like, fuck this shit. The Catholics are in trouble, you guys. I really think they're I think this makes it to there's a meeting being held at the Vatican about this, because what do you do? Yeah. Anyway, there you go. If you would like to write into us about this or any of the things that we've covered on this week's show, please feel free to do so. It's podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank, we had some lovely people. It's been a few weeks since we checked in with our inbox. So we had a lot. We can't get to everybody, but we did have some folks write into us, and thank you so much. This is from Ira, who says, "Hi, guys. I just wanted to say that I don't think religion is doing a very good job of providing anything positive to society. Dan referenced sociologists saying that we need religion, but countries like Japan, where I live, seem to be doing fine, with most people not being particularly religious. I'm not sure what the sociologists are saying with regard to that, but I wonder if the situation in the U.S. is not basically just that community ties are much weaker than they were historically, combined with the way that the non-religious are still denigrated as an outgroup. Meanwhile, religion helps to twist otherwise caring people, like my mom and one of my old coworkers, into being against women's health care, against rights for the LGBTQ, and blaming various kinds of victims for their victimization. More religious states, like Texas, where I'm from, have worse conditions to all appearances because people are more religious. My mom is pushing my niece and nephew through getting baptized, and it makes me really uncomfortable. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this." Yeah, Ira, I mean, I think that that's true. Like, I'm not going to deny any of what you just wrote. I do think that there are a bunch of things that religions do for their members that are still positive. Whether it's a net positive for society is a question. But I think that we as a society could find ways of doing it, of imparting those same benefits to people in secular ways. We haven't figured out how to do that yet. Not in this country. Maybe we should look to Japan. Maybe we should look to Finland. There are lots of places that are apparently happy places where people aren't religious, but they have figured out how to, how to have good community. But then the other thing is that, like, Finland and Japan aren't, from what I've read and from what I understand, they are nowhere near as diverse in culture and in and in just sort of scope as the U.S. is. So I think we'll need different solutions to the problems. Those solutions will be part of it, but I think we'll also need to find different things.
Perhaps.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't want there to be religion. I don't like religion. I agree that all of those problems are problems of religion.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What the hell do I know?
Not a lot.
What? Not a lot. No.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. I think we can all agree on that.
I throw myself in there too. Not a lot.
Yeah. We try. Do we have a voicemail?
We do, Dan. This is from a listener who really got in close and paid really close attention to the details of the Jesus abs that we talked about a number of weeks ago. There was somebody who's kind of famous or mildly or maybe a lot famous in Great Britain, a guy by the name of Spencer Matthew, was spotted. There was a photo of him online that people were like, his abs are a Jesus face.
Our Jesus, yes.
Yeah. Like, people see Jesus or the Mother Mary, whatever, in like the bark on trees and whatnot. And then it becomes a holy, site for a veneration and pilgrimage. I'm wondering when that happens to his abs.
Yeah, I think his abs are now community property.
Like, he should have to actually stand outside at a shrine and let all these old Catholics come on their pilgrimage.
If our Lord and Savior has deemed his abs the place where he's going to make his next appearance, he no longer owns his abs.
No.
They belong to the community at large now.
He needs to fucking maintain them, though, right? Like,
he does.
No. Get that eclair away from that mouth.
Yeah.
Mr. Matthews. No. So Chelsea did a little bit of a close examination.
A deep dive.
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on.
Hey, this is Chelsea from Raleigh, North Carolina. So this Jesus abs thing, I've admittedly I've only looked at one picture, but I think the whole Jesus thing depends entirely on that hooded belly button that gives like the little upside down mouth look. If he had a round belly button or an outie, it would look totally different. So I really think it's just the belly button that's making this happen. And that's all I have to say. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay, Chelsea, no, it's not just the belly. It is Jesus that's making this happen. How dare you?
How dare you?
It's the whole package, right? Like, Jesus arranged for him to have a little hooded belly button, as you call it. So yeah, that's right.
If that's right. What makes it happen, then and what's funny is that the belly button almost makes it not work for me because I'm looking at it again and the belly button makes it look like Jesus is whistling.
Oh, I think if it was an outie, it would really look like he's whistling. Right. It would just be like some puckered up.
Whistling Jesus on your abs. I think that's the way to go. But yeah, the whole thing, it requires all of the parts to make it Jesus, but Jesus made it happen, and we can all be grateful to him.
Yeah. And now
praise Jesus for the abs.
There's a man's stomach that must be adored.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I'm sure plenty of our listeners would be happy to adore that particular abdomen. Homeboy's ripped.
It's kind of freaky. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. We had someone write into the show to say, just now getting around to listening to the episode, relax, it's just Christian nationalism. You guys discussed a listener question of only church providing the community and the warm fuzzies of song singing and all that church stuff. Check out the sundayassembly.org or just sundayassembly.org. We don't have one here in Grand Junction, Colorado. No, I don't suppose you would. But I'm looking into starting one up myself. Their website has basic layouts on how to start one and run one. Yeah, we're aware of Sunday Assembly, and I think it's great.
It's awesome, yeah.
There's other organizations that do the same thing. Oasis, I believe, is still around. And I just think, I think that can be amazing for people.
Yeah, especially if you're like, you come from a tradition of gathering on, Sunday morning and having a sense of community, and hearing somebody say something, over a pulpit or whatnot that's supposed to be interesting or inspiring. Yeah, it can be great because they have speakers who come in and talk on, just whatever topic, whatever,
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
To keep something like that going. So if you participate in one, give them money because woof, it is a lot. The sad thing about organizations like Sunday Assembly is that they don't have the hook of, if you don't come here, like you'll go to hell for eternity to keep people coming back. Yeah. So like the minute somebody stops needing it in their lives, they're just going to stop going.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, but not for the organization. So I don't know. I don't know how you do it, because frankly, the religions, they cheat. They're like, come or you'll be eternally punished. And that's just a pretty darn good hook to keep people coming back.
Yeah.
And they get to promise eternal salvation and superiority and snootiness if they do keep coming. So,
and casserole.
Well, you know what? Listen, Sunday Assembly could do casserole.
If they aren't, they need to be.
Yeah, get casserole night going. Hell, I'd go if there was casserole. If there was good casserole.
When was the last time you had a casserole, Dan?
Years. It's been years.
Here.
All right. And then we had someone write in to say, there's one minor detail that I'm surprised no one picked up on regarding Ryan Walters' efforts to Trumpify this. This is the Oklahoma guy who's trying to put Bibles in all the schools, and the Trump Bible specifically. One of the requirements for the Bible selection was the inclusion of the U.S. Constitution. Right. This was how Ryan Walters was making everybody making sure that it would be the Trump Bible and no other Bible, because nobody does that. Why would you do that? However, writes this person, the Trump Bible's U.S. Constitution is not complete, missing amendments 11 through 27.
Oh.
Those are the parts of the Constitution which cover minor details such as the end of slavery, presidential term limits, income taxes, equal protection, voting rights, and other details from presumably before America stopped being the MAGA version of great.
Wow.
This would mean that the Trump Bibles wouldn't qualify under State Superintendent Ryan Walters' requirements for school Bibles.
Huh.
Unfortunately, it would appear that someone on Walters' staff also picked up on this detail, since Oklahoma have amended their initial request to include those state documents. In theory, it could make it ever so slightly possible to slip an alternative Bible into the accepted Bibles list.
Well, let's get to work.
Right?
I mean, if there's all these Bibles that need to get bought, we might as well be selling it to them.
We need to be the one. We need to be the atheists selling it to them, and not Donald fucking Trump.
Yeah, no kidding.
Who is also obviously an atheist, unless you count self-worship, in which case maybe not. Well, it's been a couple weeks, and we've got some people to thank.
We do indeed.
So I'm going to start us off with Susan, who is a teacher now. Thank you so much, Susan. We appreciate you deeply. And I think you have some folks.
I do, Dan. I have, let's see, I have a few people to thank. We have Anthony, who's a new deacon, and Fractured But Whole, who's a new teacher.
Woohoo!
And we have Jack of All, who just edited their support level and is now a teacher. So I wanted to mention that. And that is something you can do.
Yeah,
you can
look.
It's not just you support us and that's that. Like, if you wanted to, you
could just get a raise at your work. Did you get a new job? Share the wealth, man.
We're not asking for much. So thank you very much to these three kind folk. If you'd like to join them in supporting the show, just go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/donate, and you'll see options.
Yeah.
It's not just one way to support the show. There are options.
Yeah,
and as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank. There's a little bit of a shakeup this week.
Oh my gosh.
We had some people come in with a one-time donation that was very generous. Yes. And so we would like to thank Alex and Aaron as our Dark Lord and Savior of the week. Thank you
Alex
so
and Aaron
much.
coming through, baby. Woo! So great. All right, more show coming up.
Dan.
Yeah.
We've talked about them before on the show. I'm sure we'll talk about them again on the show, which is Mormon garments.
Your former underwear.
Yeah, the famous Mormon underwear that protects you from burns and what else does it protect you from? That's the only one I ever really hear. People in
I heard a
accidents
story. I did hear someone once tell a story about someone being protected from a bullet. But
oh wow!
But like usually you don't get that much.
That's a little extreme. Yeah, that one's hard.
And by the way, the way that these things are made of, like polyester / acrylic or whatever the fuck they're made of, believe me, they will not save you from fire. They are going to make the fire much worse.
Anyway, this is the underwear that Mormons wear. These are people who've been through the Mormon temple. They've received their endowment, and from the Lord, and now they've
had their various bits and bobs dabbed in oil by some old creep.
Yeah,
so.
and they've learned the secret handshakes and what have yous
and stuff.
And so now they have the requirement. Which this article I read about this, the church spokesman was talking about the great privilege of wearing garments, which I was just like, yeah. They have the requirement of wearing these things for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. As their only undergarment, unless, with a few basic exceptions of like, if you're working out or, just a few minor exceptions. But then, if you go swimming, that's fine. But you're expected to put them right back on immediately after. And here's the other thing about these things. It's what Dan McClellan would call costly signaling. It is a way, they're not supposed to show under your clothes. Mm-hmm. But like no one's supposed to ever be able to see them. But Mormons know where to look to make sure that you're one of them. Like they know how to spot a garment wearing Mormon versus a not garment wearing person. And B, it has meant for these many years that like you can't wear off the shoulder stuff. You can't wear a tank top.
Right.
You got to wear longer, your shorts or your skirts have to be sort of basically to or below the knee because they are, because of the length of these things. This is how they go. This is what they're all about. But not no more.
Well, sorta. They have announced that there will be sleeveless garments available in next year.
Yeah.
Globally. I guess they've been trying these out in like hotter, more humid places of the world.
They've been running a pilot program of like slightly shorter garments.
Yeah. And you see pictures of them and it's like, because you hear sleeveless and it's like, oh, wow. Like this is going to change everything. No, because like women in the church had a tradition of just sort of tucking the little bit of the sleeve, because it wasn't a big long sleeve or anything. It didn't even go to mid-arm.
It was a cap sleeve.
Yeah, it was just a little bit that came over, rounded the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
And stopped. But it really prevented any number of things from being worn. And so they would just kind of tuck the little cap, right? Boop, up under the rest of the garment and under whatever they were wearing. So you wouldn't see it. Basically, this is that. It is sans cap.
It's so funny because you're right. Now, to be clear, the women who have been wearing, something that's like sort of shows even a little bit of shoulder by tucking or whatever, they're flouting the rules a little bit.
Oh, yeah. They very much so.
They've been cheating this whole time.
The church actually, I mean, over the pulpit at General Conference, I believe they've been saying that this is not something that you do, right?
No.
You wear the garment unmodified.
You're being a bad Mormon. Stop it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The church is caving to the Mormon mommy bloggers. The Mormon church is now terrified of the Instagram community of Mormons. Because that's what this is about. Do not believe for a second that this is about, people in hotter climates, they need to be able to be cool. That's not what this is about.
They've never cared about hotter climates.
They don't give a flying fuck about that.
Yeah.
This is about, and listen, I have been told, I probably mentioned this on the show, but I have been told by credible sources that, like, for instance, when the Mormons took down the temple there in the very pretty temple in Provo, it was because the Instagram girls didn't want to get married there anymore.
That is definitely the word on the street. Yeah.
These people are trying desperately to keep their young, especially female, members, and they're not doing a good job. So they are taking this tiny half measure, this ridiculous little thing. Although I gotta say, there are women, former Mormon, former garment wearing women in my life who are furious about this.
Really?
So mad because they had to wear this bullshit this whole time, and now the church is just like, oh, it's fine. Don't worry.
They're all, that's oh, who cares at that point? That's hysterical.
Yeah.
No, it's really not that much of a, like, there's still a weird looking undergarment.
Yes.
Actually, like the shape and proportions of it are just not what anybody would really wear. They're very sort of the female ones, the ones for women are smock like. Well, it's a slip, I guess, but it's like it's too much of a slip, right? I remember my mom walking around the house.
What do you mean a slip?
A slip is something that's worn under a dress.
I understand that, but like it's not, it's more like bike shorts.
I'm looking at this right now. This is a slip that she's wearing.
Well,
this is a one piece. This is a one piece garment that doesn't have
the new
anything that you step into. Yeah. Like this is a little slip dress that's worn under a dress. But I mean, it is so fucking modest. You could walk out in public in that and nobody would think twice.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's
interesting.
It would just be like a white.
Oh yeah. That's like a hospital gown. That's a really weird thing.
Yeah. And then, but it's funny. I was like scrolling down. So before I realized that this was, I thought it was just when they announced sleeveless garments that it was just for the women. Right. I didn't realize that it was also for the men. And so like I'm scrolling down and I'm like, damn, she's broad shouldered. She's been working out. She
has been working out.
And I'm like, oh wait, that's a dude. Wait, what? And it's like the new men's sleeveless top is described as snug fitting with a round neckline. And it's like,
interesting.
I don't know what you get to really wear differently. And that's the thing. They've kept enough fabric on these that it's really not going to let you wear much that's different.
Yeah, there's no spaghetti straps happening here.
No, it maybe will feel a little cooler. Like I do accept that, like it might be more comfortable. But I don't.
Sure, I guess
you're talking about this like being something that they're throwing out to the mommy bloggers, and are they really going to be that excited about this? Like it's just not that much of a change. Like
And yet I have seen articles just finally, we've been praying for this to happen for years, and oh, praise be. It's like, what? No, there's nothing good here. This is dumb. But there you go.
Oh, Mormons, the little things, the little scraps that the church leadership throws to the membership from time to time, they just gobble up. It's just so amazing. The Lord doth provide. And it's like, it's nothing. This is a big nothing burger, if you ask me. Like, it's no
also
big
there
deal.
Needs to be a distinct worry, because every time they do one of these things, the question on everybody's mind should be, well, if it happened now, why didn't it happen before?
Yeah.
I thought all of this was from God.
Yeah.
Suddenly we're doing slips instead of bike shorts. What is happening?
Yeah. Well, and you really also have to ask the question of, like, what does this do to, like, Mormon garment porn, right? Like,
it opens it wide open, baby.
No, I was thinking it kind of ruined it, because I think it was about how frumpy and weird it was. And this just, like, the man's top, I mean, that's something a guy would wear to the gym, just sort of the wrong color, you know?
Yeah. Also, what does the woman wear under the slit? Anyway, we don't need to know.
Well, is she still supposed to wear her bra over the top?
Oh, they've relaxed that one too.
Oh, they did?
Apparently for a while. I had a whole conversation with somebody, and apparently for a while they've been letting women choose whether the bra goes over or under because for the longest time in our lives growing up, like, the woman had to wear her bra over her garments, which that's a hell of a thing.
That had to be awful.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, the times they are a changing, not in, like, good or useful ways, but, you know, just slightly more skin at church in Mormon land now.
Oh, just wait, in like a couple decades, like, maybe they can wear, like, shorts with, like, 7-inch inseams. Or maybe it'll have to be 8. But, like,
bite your tongue, sir. That's a terrible thought. Well, if you'd like to comment on this or any of the issues that we've talked about today, you can totally do that. You can write into us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, to support the show, go to thankgodimatheist.com/donate and become our Dark Lord and Savior if you want to.
Big thanks to Gordon Johnston and the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music. And this episode was edited by Roger Gowdy.
Thanks to all y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank God I'm Atheist is a production of TGIA Media, LLC, copyright 2024, all rights reserved.